Hello, I'm Maurice Dimba and welcome to this tutorial. Today we are going to create a cage ladder for our tank tower. Let's get started right away. If you take a look on the screen, you can see a small platform here which will represent a landing for our case. If you've gone all the way from 0 level to 14 meters high here, you can be offered some place to rest for a minute before taking another flight all the way to upper platform, either to access the tank or to check the level water or to check anything wrong with the flow rate of water inside the tank, or if there is any leakage, you can take that flight coming up after taking some few minutes of rest up here. Now we can't just give you a one-way up here, we will be tiresome. Now we've created this here. Let me just come here and turn it around so that you can see how it looks like. Now I'll turn that round. You can see how I created that, but this is a very simple thing to create. That's why I didn't consider it very important, just to do it while showing some instruction how to create a ladder, just to cut down on time. But this is a very simple thing to create. If you have any issue or finding difficulty in creating this, just throw a comment right there, and I'll do a small tutorial regarding this just to show you how I did this. But it's very simple. If I press Control, if I press Alt here, if I press Alt and pick on that, you'll see everything has been assembled, and this will be welded together. This will be welded together and just lifted and be attached to these two supports. They supported right from these two columns. Now we want to create a cage ladder, and before doing that, we want to create 2 points, two guiding points that will define by how much our cage ladder will stretch, or the height of our cage ladder. Now first of all, we go straight to edit here. We'll click on edit, then we'll come to points. Once you've clicked on points right here, I'll pick on the online option. Then I want to snap at the bottom end here of this post or stanchion. Then I'll come all the way and snap right at the bottom end here, just to define or to get the midpoint between these 2 points, because this will be the entry point to this upper platform where our tank will be placed. Now I'll click on this point and offset it way down by 10 meters, which will be very close to the top end of our platform down there. Now I'll click copy spatial here and come to linear right there, and I'll feed here 10 meters there. I just need a copy there, and then I'll click copy. Then let's follow whether our point has been copied at the end. There it is, and I can show you what level is it away from the platform. That is a nice level, or a good level. Now we'll come here once again and do the same thing. I'll come to edit, then come to points and locate midpoint between these 2 posts, because this will be the entry point to our small platform here that will be offering you a resting place once you're tired climbing up. Now I'll snap right on that point, then right click and come to spatial copy. I'll come to linear right there, and I want to copy it down here, down to the 0 level by 14 meters. From up here going to the ground level is 14 meters. Now I'll just type 14 meters right there. Then I'll click copy. I'm prefixing this dimension with a negative sign because we are going in the opposite direction of the z-axis. I'll click OK, right click and interrupt just to exit from that command. Then we'll track down our point. Our point, I think, is down here. It is blue because we've hit the ground level, it will turn to that color blue. Now we'll start from up here to start placing our cage ladder right here. Now I'll click applications and component here, this button, then on this space just type ladder, and will be prompted with the number of macro that will help you in creating something similar to a ladder or a ladder itself. Now I'll pick on this option, ladder S35 macro. This is the best. I'll pick on that. Then I'll snap on the first position here. Then I'll go to the second position to define the height of my ladder. I'll snap here as my second point, right there. Then I'll wait for it to load. Then make some bit of adjustment to customize our. There we are. The ladder has loaded. Now I'll right click and click interrupt just to exit from that command. Now here is our ladder already in place, and we can as well double click on it so that we can access that window for the cage ladder. Let me close this because at the moment it has no use for us. Now here we can set the length of our cage up here, right to the entry, right at the entry to main platform here. We can adjust that length, and we have some options on how you want our cage, you want your cage to look like. You can pick the three designs here. I've picked this one. This one is a bit common and easy to bend these bars to take that profile than this. Now you can pick that, you can pick whichever you want, and also you can set the span of your ladder and also a spacing between these rods to that rod, the steps that you'll be stepping your feet on. Now parts, you can pick on the parts of your ladder here, but I'll leave it at the moment on default. Then parameters here, you can change the direction on which you intend. Now I've picked this one. Now I'll go straight away to picture. Then I'll just click OK. I'm comfortable with the rest of the dimensions. I'll click OK. Once I've done that, not yet, we are not yet done, and we'll go back where we were, and I'll come to view and we'll rotate this. We want to offset this slightly off our platform. Now I'll double click once again to get that cage ladder window. Then I'll come to parts here. Let me close this first of all. I'll come to parameters here. Inside the parameters, I want to offset this ladder slightly off because there's a collision with our tank platform. Then to offset that, I'll come right here, horizontal offset. I'll feed here 150 and I'll click OK, modify. There we are, it has moved to the right spot. Now I'll close this for now. I'll click modify and click OK. Now I'll click OK right here, and I'll go now all the way to the bottom end there to create the second cage ladder. I'll click on that, and I want to snap right here. Then I'll stretch all the way to that bottom point right here. Let me just zoom close, and I'll snap right here as my second point, and I'll give it time to load the cage ladder right from 0 level, or right from the ground level, going all the way to the first platform where we'll be given a small place or space to take a rest before taking the next flight up all the way to the upper platform where our tank will be placed or installed. there we are. Our ladder is already here, and I'll zoom out and I'll move all the way up here and check how it has located itself perfectly well. It has been placed in the best position. Now, just close to it, I have already placed the supporting members, the support members for our ladder, and they are meshing properly. And this is not something so difficult to create. This you can do, because if you've been following this channel for quite some time, there are variety of tutorials that tries to elaborate on this. Now, if I turn this like that, you'll be able to see this part has been welded to this small platform, and this will just create bolting. We'll just bolt this to our cage ladder. Let me turn this once again. Let me turn that once again so that we can see it clearly. Turn that once again. I'll come back to and turn it like that. We can see it clearly all the way. This is how it looks. This is how it looks here. Now we want to bolt this. We want to place our bolts, and against our cage ladder. Now I'll go straight to bolts right here. I'll come to steel here and come to bolt. Then I'll pick on the parts to bolt. I'll press my spacebar on the keyboard, and I'll snap right at the edge here while pressing my spacebar and snap at the end right there. There is my bolt, but is in the opposite direction. I'll double click on it, and we don't need 2 bolts here, just one is enough, because this end has been welded against that member. Now I'll double click on this bolt to access that bolt window, where we'll be able to manipulate the position and how this attach itself to our cage ladder. Now I'll come to position down here. And I'll try to rotate these to, I'll give it front. That is not the best. I'll come down here. I'll give it below and try to see how it looks. I want the bolt head to face out. I'll come here and give it top. Perfect. And now the bolt size should not be M20. We want to give it M16. We'll give it M16 right there, and our washer is already in place. I'll just go ahead and click apply. I'll accept that. Now I'll go the opposite direction. And do a similar thing. I'll come here and rotate about that spot. I'll right click and exit. And go all the way to steel here to access the bolt. I want to bolt this to this one. Now after selecting the parts to bolt, I'll press my spacebar and zoom close and click at to define the point where I intend to place my bolt. I'll snap on that spot, and I'll direct my cursor in a very straight line to that direction and click that. But I want the bolt head to face outside. I'll double click on that and change that orientation. Now I'll come straight down here on position, and I'll click below right there, and it will face the direction of my choice. Now we'll close this, because at the moment we are done with them. We'll just close this. Now I'll pick on these bolts. I'll press Ctrl and pick on that. I'll right click and come to copy, and I'll come and I want to copy these bolts from that spot. And this bolt should be, Let me just confirm whether it is M16. I'll just double click on this just to check. Let me just come up. It's M16, perfect. And I'll right click and click interrupt and go back and pick on the bolts and right click and come to copy here, and I want to pick this bolt from this spot, from this center. Then I'll copy it to the next connection here. I'll go to the next connection where the cage ladder has been attached to the tower. Let me just zoom close and locate and place it here. I'll place another one here. I'll go all the way down here and place another one. There's another one down here. There's another one down here. I'll snap right there. Bottom end here, and I'll copy that one right here. I'll snap right there. Perfect. Perfect. There's something wrong. There's something we've done wrong, and we'll just go up because we wanted just a single bolt, not these several ones, not two bolts. We just come up and define another bolt. We just double click on this and come all the way here and remove this. Put 0 right there and click OK. That is the length 100, and we'll click OK. That is the length. We'll come to the bolt distance. We'll change this to 0. That's okay. Then we'll go the other end and change that to 0. Double click on that. Once you've done that, we'll scroll down and come to bolt distance X. We'll remove this dimension and change that to 0 and apply that. Now we'll close this and start populating our bolts right to the bottom end of the last support to the main tower. I will right click and right click once again and come to copy, and I want to pick it from this spot. I want to copy it from that spot. Let me just zoom close and make sure I'm snapping in the accurate, on the accurate position. Then the next point we're going to locate a bolt is this one right there, and the remaining one will be deleted. We'll delete that, and we'll delete that one also. We don't need any extra bolts. We'll remove that. First of all, let's remove any unwanted bolts. We'll come up here. We'll come up right here and pick on that bolt. While pressing Ctrl, you want to pick on this bolt. Right click and come to copy, and I'll zoom out and snap on that spot and target this connection here. This connection here, I'll snap right there. We've created a bolt right there, and we'll go to the next connection. Our next connection is this one here. Perfect. Let's get to the next connection, which is this one at the bottom end here. This will attach our cage ladder to the main tower or the main columns. Now let me turn this round so that you check how this looks after attaching the cage ladder to our tower. So this member, this L-shaped or RSA member has been welded to this bracing here to offer support to our cage ladder. Now we've done that, and now we want to create a similar connection, but we can copy the same settings here. I'll right click and pick on this. I'll press Control and pick on that. I'll right click and come to copy here, and I'll pick it from this position right at the bottom end, at the center here. I'll pick it from the center point right there and zoom out and go all the way. And I want to play and I want to bolt this member here. I want to bolt it at that center, and I'll go to the next position here and I'll bolt it. I'll place my bolt here, place my bolt right there, and also I go to the next connection here and I'll place my bolt here right there. As I told you, the other end has been welded, and the last one is here, the last one here, well bolted. Now let me take you through on the connection. This is the connection, how it has been connected to the main tower, or the main tower structure. Perfect. Let me just turn this. You can check that. You can see that perfectly well. Let me just turn that round. Take a look. Perfect. Now let me just change the view. Let me just change this view. I'll come to view properties here. I want to just view it using the perspective view. I'll click modify, apply, and accept that. Let me just exit that. I'll come back to view properties. View properties here. Let me close this. Come to view properties and I'll click modify. Click that, apply and accept. Let me just double click once again and I'll change this view to perspective and I'll click modify. Perfect. I'll click apply and we can now view this using perspective view. Let me switch back to plan view. You can view this with perspective view. You can see this is our first landing, the bottom end here, and this is we've gone all the way to the bottom end. That is how it looks. Let me just switch back to ortho projection and click on that. This is how it looks now after creating the ladder and creating and connecting the ladder to the tank tower structure. You can take a look and see that. See that clearly done, neatly done. Perfect. Now we want to create a pedestal down here for our cage ladder at the bottom end here, and create a small pedestal here. Right click and come to interrupt. I'll come to concrete right here. Prior to doing that, I want to locate the midpoint between these points. Now I'll you see, if I click this, the whole assembly is selected. Now what I'm going to do, I want to disable the assembly selection. I'll click on that button so that I can click on individual members. I'll come to edit right here I'll come to points right here and pick on that spot, and I want to snap on that spot and snap right at that spot to locate a midpoint right here to help me place my pedestal, my concrete there. I'll come to concrete, I'll come to pad footing and pick on pad footing, and I'll snap right there. Slightly big. I'll double click on this to change its settings. Double click on it to change its settings, and give it 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter. Perfect. And it should be right at the center. Let's confirm that. Right at the center. Perfect. Now we want to place our column. We'll close that. We'll close that. I'll click on empty screen. Now I'll come to column. I'll come to concrete here and click on column. Then I'll snap right here. Perfect. And I'll double click on this column because it has gone all the way to 7 meters, but 7 meters, we don't want 7 meters here. Instead of 7 meters, I'll change this to 0. And I'll allow it to penetrate down by 0.45. Now I'll click OK, modify, but I want to change this dimension so that this bar will be able to be anchored direct on the concrete. Now to do that, I want to adjust these settings. We'll just give it for a meter. Just give it a meter right here. Perfect. And I'll give it OK right here. Perfect. A meter is quite lengthy. Double click it once again, and change that to 800. 800. Okay, 800 is okay. Change this to 800. 800. Perfect. I'll close that now, and I can change this to share similar color with the rest of the concrete members. I'll select on this. I'll select on that, then hover my cursor over this cube and click on this and give it a gray color representing a concrete member. Then I'll come here, hover my cursor or mouse over that cube, then come to that class 1, a color similar to a concrete. There we are, and we are done. Let me come to view and come to navigate and rotate this. You can see that already created. As simple as that. And you can climb it all the way to our platform, first platform here, or our first landing. Now let me switch to elevation view. Let me just double click here and drag this up here and change this to 180, and I'll change this to 0, so that we can briefly have a look at our elevation, how our elevation will look like. This is how our elevation will look like if printed out. This is how it will look like. You can see the support for our cage ladder right there, and another one supported here, and there's another support here at the bottom end here, and there's another flight starts from the 0 level here, going all the way from here to here is 2 meters high. From ground level to the cage here, to the start of the cage, is 2 meters. Now this is how it looks, and this is how support looks. Perfect. And let me just switch back to my isometric view by just pressing Control and holding my middle button on the mouse, and I'll turn this round. Simple as that. And from that spot we'll wind up. And thank you for watching this channel, and if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe, and let's meet on the next presentation. The next presentation, I think, we'll be creating the drawings, the assembly drawings, the GA drawings, and direction drawings. And from that spot, I'll be happy to say bye bye, and let's meet on the next presentation.